Hi everybody and welcome back to Let's Play Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. Bloody hell, that's a mouthful. Anyway, last part it was basically more of kind of learning, learning more about meeting more characters, learning more about those characters and that kind of thing. And this is going to be the first time where we actually enter a dungeon proper. This time. And at the very end of last part, Ko went off to do his part-time job, and yeah, this comes into play in the main story a lot later on, but basically, Ko was there was this massive earthquake, and Ko doesn't remember much of it, but he knows that that something happened with him in kind of some way, but he doesn't really know. Doesn't really remember much about it, which is kind of fishy. So we'll find out more about that as the game goes on. And weird. It's like Shiori's trying to run away from something. Like she keeps thinking she's hearing something. That someone's chasing her. And she's kind of running off. So yeah, we're going to find out what's going on with that. Probably. So yeah, she says that earlier on, and now it's kind of coming into play. She's been chased by something, but what? We'll find out pretty soon. Can't think about tea right now. Shiori's in trouble. Yeah, I think Yukino kind of knows what's going on at this point. I think she kind of knows that. I think she has a general idea of something's going on, but she doesn't really know what. Oh, look at that. We see 3,000 yen. Oh, that's going to hurt. Scrape your knees like that, love. So we finally get to see, yep, that's one giant-ass creature. What the fuck is that shit? So yeah, she can all of a sudden see this now, and oh, there's a big red thing kind of showing up, and this is what happened to Ko the first part. That he saw this red kind of crack in reality kind of open up and turn into this kind of weird gate, and so now Shiori's in a bit of trouble. She's going to be getting dragged into it. I don't think it's really explained. It's not explained for a little while, I don't think, as to what's going on with these things and why, these things are kind of showing up. But anyway, we're heading into the first dungeon, the Ruins of Abstraction, which is a kind of a it's kind of a bougie kind of name, to be honest. But yeah, Ko here is starting to remember what the fuck happened when he went into this place with Hiragi last time, and he kind of remembers. Now he remembers what the fuck happened. Also, it's never really, I don't think it's ever really explained, because Shiori kind of enters in the same place as we do, but she ends up kind of a lot further in. I don't know whether it's just, that, she gets in here at this point and then is kind of dragged away by the monster of this, the boss monster of this dungeon, or is it that she basically, because she's the one who kind of causes the crack to kind of open and the door to open, that she gets stuck at the center of this dungeon? I don't really know. It's never really explained. It's just kind of a thing that, you know, the person that gets sucked into it initially and kind of forces it to manifest kind of ends up at the center. And these things are called eclipses. So yeah. An eclipse forms when this other world kind of encroaches on the real world, and it kind of forces a gate to open, and these gates are called eclipses. So yeah, Hiragi kind of just wants us to fuck off. She's kind of like, I'm gonna deal with this, and then you get the fuck out. And which, you know, makes sense. I mean, she has a way to defend herself, and we don't really have a way to defend ourselves. So yeah, at this point, her kind of the way she acts around us and wanting us to wanting us to shift our ass out of here as quickly as possible does make sense. Doesn't make sense later on, but we'll get to that when we get to that, I suppose. Yeah, so she's got a sword. But something's happening. And something's going to happen. Yeah, this is I guess you could relate this to kind of your persona. In Persona, the moment where you kind of awaken to your persona and receive your powers. What's kind of interesting here is this. I believe, from what I remember, this is the only time this happens. That we have Ko is the only one who has someone kind of who has a voice, and then this person kind of appear to him to kind of awaken his powers. Like, she kind of shows up, and she is a major part of the story, but we're not going to really find out a hell of a lot about her until really kind of the epilogue chapters and the end game. So we're not really going to know much about this character yet. I think we do find out her name before the end of the main game, but we're not going to find out much about her for now. So yeah, Ko's the only one who has that person kind of appear. Of course, we have to anime screaming, and he awakens, and he finally has his new weapon. His is kind of these are called soul devices. Basically the weapons that everybody wields for this game, and Ko's is like a metal gauntlet on one arm, which kind of extends, extends as an end, which kind of extends. Kind of like, it's not exactly the same, but kind of similar to Scorpion's thing on his wrist. But yeah, and everybody has different weapons, because it's Hiragi has her sword, Ko has his kind of metal gauntlet. I guess it's more of a gauntlet. It's like an arm fitted kind of extendable blade, I guess. But there we go. So yeah, he's awakened to his powers and now has his weapon. And he basically is like, look, I'm not getting out of here. I want to help out. I want to try and I want to save Shiori, but I am going to need your help in order to do that. So let's team up for a little bit. Please let me help. It's basically the gist of this. She finally gives in. It's like, fuck, you're just gonna come here on your own anyway if I don't look after you. So fuck it, you pain in the ass. So anyway, it's time for us. So yeah, she's at the center of the labyrinth. So I guess that just happens with anybody who kind of opens one of these things. So this is the scene. This is the screen. Sorry, the screen that we get at the very beginning of every dungeon, and it tells you basically what attributes the enemies have in here. So there's 14 enemies with fire, 14 enemies with special, and 1 enemy with steel. So basically we can switch between Hiragi and Ko at the flick of a button. You can lock on using the L... Is it L1? Yes, it's L1. Lock on to enemies using the L1. And you've got 2 basically main attacks. You've got your physical attack, which is your sword swipe for Hiragi. And you've also got your long-range attack, which is kind of like an energy shot. For Hiragi, it's kind of like 3 energy balls that she shoots out. For Ko, it's like his extendable blade kind of shoots out really long with energy on it. So yeah, Asuka's main thing is the SP, which I believe is special element. I'm not 100% sure. So she starts off with the special element, and Ko starts off with the fire element, and that's his kind of attack. Basically, I'm going to be storming through the early majority of the dungeons in the main game, just because New Game Plus, characters are over-leveled, but basically I don't want to kind of kill enemies too quickly. But I didn't want to basically have things kind of moving too slowly, because bosses can take a fucking eternity in this game. And something else that's necessary to know as well is that if you kill an enemy with their specific weakness, they have more kind of drops. You can also dodge. So they have more drops, and they have better quality drops if you kill them with their chosen element. With the element that they're weak to, rather. And this is pretty much the definition of your, what's the word I'm looking for? This is the definition of your kind of tutorial dungeon. So he's weak to fire, so shooting. Yeah, that would take usually about 4 or 5 hits, but I took him down in 2. Because of how high a level I am at this moment in time. So yeah, this dungeon pretty much it's a good tutorial dungeon, because it pretty much shows you everything that you're going to be doing pretty early on. Gives you these boxes give you basically energy and items. It shows you the basic puzzles that you're going to be dealing with, which is hitting switches to open up new areas. Gives you mini bosses to deal with, as well as the major bosses. So yeah, it's damn it, still can get caused damage too. You also got a dodge button, and they're gonna and we'll show it off in a bit. But you also get 2 types of special attack, which you can level up. Something else which you can do. This is much later on. Is you can also change your attribute. So with Ko, he can change between 3 or 4 different attributes, I think. And then others can change between 2. Hiragi can change between special steel, I believe, as well. So yeah, I don't think I can use those yet. Plus, there's not really a point because, you know, the first tutorial dungeon was basically designed so that the weakness, the strength that Ko has and the strength that Hiragi has, the majority of the enemies will be weak to that. So, and we're so high level that we don't really need to worry about that too much. And of course, later dungeons, they have a lot more varied. They're a bit more. They have a bit more exploration. This one is pretty much just, you know, single track. Just go through it. You know, you have to hit 2 switches, and you're basically done. As you can kind of see there, I attacked that enemy, which wasn't weak to Ko's strength. I basically hit him, and didn't get as much points or as big a drop as I would have done if I'd used the element which he was weak against. By the way, it doesn't mean that you can't kill them with something that isn't their weakness. It just takes a lot longer. It's not like DMC Devil May Cry, where in the original cut of that game, before they re-released it on the Xbox One and PS4. See what I mean there? There you go. I'm still causing a lot of damage. Yeah, this takes a lot longer. But yeah, in the original DMC Devil May Cry, basically, there were color-coded enemies which you could only kill with either your angel weapon or demon weapon. So it's nothing like that, where you can't cause damage if you don't use their weakness. This thing happens when you defeat a mini-boss, you break it, and there's a load of special items and rare materials for you to use. And boom. That's pretty much the end of the dungeon. We just got to get through the boss fight. And I got an S rank. Soul points basically are used to kind of power up power up your opponents and power up your party, and basically if they get up to the max rank of 5, I believe is the maximum soul rank, level 5. Once you get them up to the max rank, then they can use their special attacks more often, which makes battles a hell of a lot easier later on in the game. But here we are, we're at the boss. And there's Shiori. She's just unconscious, she's not dead, thank God. Time for the boss. Which is kind of cool design. That's something I will give to this game as well. I really like the designs. Elder Greed Menace Ogre. This boss, when you're first playing it, it does take a little while. It does take a good it took me a good 25 minutes, if I remember correctly, to kick his ass. But because we're powered up, but because it's New Game Plus, we should be able to take this guy down fairly easily. Yeah, so you look at that. One simple hit. Yeah, and the bosses usually don't have a weakness. And that was my special attack. I got one special attack off, and it absolutely fucking wrecked him. Okay, yeah, so basically now we need to swap to her, and we're going to use the X Strike. Not necessary, but whatever. And these are kind of like special attacks that you can use to really cause some damage. Look at that, nice. I actually got a level up, fucking hell. And once you can power that up later on with the soul points, like I say, and you can use them maximum of 3 times in a fight before you have to start getting back the points to use them again. But yeah, there we go. Once you've defeated the boss of the Eclipse, the Eclipse kind of disappears and vanishes away, and you're spat back out into the real world. So there you go. First dungeon done. It's yeah, this whole first chapter is basically just an introduction to here's what school life is like, here's who all your friends are and that kind of thing, and then here's your first dungeon, which is kind of just happens by chance, really. It's just Shiori happens to be running away from wherever the fuck that thing was. And you just happen to find her and get involved. This animation here of Ko kind of grabbing somebody and lifting them up through the back and then putting his hand on their kind of shoulder. They reuse this animation quite a bit, to be honest. She's alright though. Of course, I'm the main character. Always has to be me. It's never any fucker else. Oh, sweet moment. Which is now going to be ruined by Hiragi. Oh no, not quite. That's the end. That's the beginning of chapter 2. But we'll see that in a minute. But we'll see that in the next part. Oh, actually, we won't. We'll see that in a couple of parts. So yeah, more of the eclipses are showing up. Weird shit's going on. Hiragi doesn't know what to do about it. But that's going to be the end of chapter 1. So yeah, chapter 1 is now completed. Next time... Okay, so that's it for this part of Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. Join me next time for the next part when we're going to be we're not going to be moving on to chapter 2, but we're going to be doing an in-between chapters mission featuring a new character. So I'll see you next time for the next part of Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. God, that name's long. Alright, see you next time.